All right, now, with great pleasure, as always, joining me now, Kentucky Senator Rand Paul, member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Senator Paul, greetings, sir. I want to read your latest tweet, or one of your latest tweets. Warmongers never want to answer. I think it might be in the full screen. Warmongers never want to answer what comes after military action against Iran. Regime collapses do not produce friendly democracies. They create chaos and power vacuums and new threats that cost more American lives and dollars. I have watched this cycle repeat for 25 years. President Trump has a chance to break it through serious diplomacy. I am standing with him on that. You are standing with him on the diplomatic front, Senator Rand. First of all, thank you for all that. I happen to agree with you, but your logic, I'm always interested in hearing your logic, sir.
Well, I think peace is preferable to war. That's pretty easy. I think the president needs a little space to find this peace. And I think ultimately peace isn't just about military accomplishment. We have militarily, as you described, decimated their army, their navy, their missiles. We have decimated them. But ultimately, to get a political peace and to get the things you want, such as elimination of their enriched uranium, you have to make a diplomatic deal. So the biggest part of the beginning of this peace is that we've traded, we won't blockade them if they don't blockade us. In other words, we're going to open the Strait of Hormuz. That's already occurring to great benefit, the lowering of the oil prices, lowering of gas prices. The next stage of this, I think, and I think they are chastened by the military defeat, but it still has to be negotiated, is that we need to get them to I think, remove the enriched uranium. I think they will do it, but they're still going to want something, and that something is the release of trade sanctions. I've been a believer over time that trade sanctions don't really accomplish much until you trade them for something. So we've sanctioned Russia. They haven't changed their behavior. We've sanctioned China. They haven't changed their behavior. We've sanctioned Iran. They haven't changed their behavior. But they have effect, and it's worth trading the reopening of trade for the removal of the enrichment of uranium. It's very verifiable. In fact, it's imminently, it can be seen. There's 440 kilograms. We can see it being removed. If that happens, that's a trade that's worth happening.
And you know, it's also interesting, you know, you talk about making trades and or transactions with the enemy. Okay, fine. I agree with you. The way this is being structured, as I understand it from what Mr. Trump has written in his Truth Social, and I spoke to him on Saturday for a while, by the way, visited with him on the telephone. They're going to use a Treasury escrow account to control the funding. So it's not like we're giving Iran money and they can do anything they want. Now, maybe that won't work, but I think that's another one of these, you know, risks worth taking. The people of Iran need help. They need food, they need agriculture stuff, they need medical stuff, they need a lot of stuff. We will control that process. So we're going to let them sell some oil, but the money washes through an escrow account and then goes Treasury, central bank to central bank, then to the Iranian people. Now, that's pretty good. And it's also very clever, I think.
And if they don't comply, sanctions can easily be reversed.
Yes.
But the other thing that the War Caucus doesn't tell the truth on is they say, oh, we're going to be giving them money. Not $1 US is going to Iran. They will ultimately be allowed to get their own money that they trade their oil for money. That is something that we will allow and will have to allow in order to let them re-enter into the nation, the world of nations, the commercial economy. But it'll be in exchange for them giving up their nuclear program. So, no, I think every step of this will be verifiable. But the people who want to fight on and don't want to make any deal, there's a certain amount of hypocrisy. These are the people who want unlimited ability of presidents to go to war, but then they want no power for the president to end the war. Ultimately, ending war is largely the president's decision because the president, as commander-in-chief, orders troops around, orders them to fire, to not fire, where to place the troops. That is the commander-in-chief's decision. So ultimately, we do get peace from a commander. And if there's ever any agreement that's voted on, it's at a much later date, if ever. World War II had some treaties with Japan in the 1950s sometime. So the immediate peace was created by the emperor saying we're done, but also then the commander-in-chief, the President Truman at the time, accepting that peace. That's where the peace came. It didn't come from a congressional dialogue.
And you know, Senator, if the Iranians don't play ball, I mean, if they revert back to their old form, which they may, I understand that, then the president has said, and I think USA will support him, all hell will break loose again. I mean, that's just what will happen. He's got a fail-safe position. It's like if they don't play ball in the Strait of Hormuz, I mean, the Navy's still there. The Fifth Fleet is still there, right? I mean, nothing really changes. We're going to monitor this. So I think he's got all his bases covered. But the main thing is, I don't understand what all this hand-wringing, Senator. I mean, I think people have their own little agendas. There's no political leadership. Trump is the only political leader the country really has right now. I don't mean any disrespect to you, but at the national level, I mean, people have their own agendas. They're trying to trip him up. The Democrats are trying to criticize him because his name is Trump and they suffer from the derangement syndrome. Let him do what he does best. He's a pretty good deal maker, wouldn't you say, Senator?
I think there's an argument to be made that there's never been a better time to get a deal from the Iranians. They're chastened, they're militarily defeated. They are not going to allow us to take over the country without armies, but I think they will trade their nuclear program because they have been thoroughly decimated. I don't think they're excited about it, but I think ultimately they will trade their nuclear program. And I think their enriched uranium, there's never been a better time than to have it removed from the country than now. Yes,
sir. We have a lot of leverage. We got the card. Sen Rand Paul, you're something, sir. You're really something. You know that?
Thanks,
It's
Larry.
great to see you. It's great to see you.